share.
On the air.
The regular meeting of the President and Board of Trustees is now called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Here.
Here.
Trustee Hine.
Here.
Trustee Vogel.
Here.
Trustee Argyris.
Here.
President Abascato.
Here. Approve the minutes for the regular meeting of September 17th.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Trustee Argyris, second by Trustee Brady. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Here.
Yes.
Trustee Hine.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Argyris.
Yes.
President Abascato.
Yes. Approval of minutes of the special meeting of September 24th.
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Lang,
Second.
second by Trustee Here. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Here.
Yes.
Trustee Hine.
Yes.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Argyris.
Yes.
President Abascato.
Yes. Mr. Fondilis, any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam President.
No changes to the agenda. Citizens' concerns and comments.
Members of the general public may address the board with concerns or comments regarding relevant issues. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points. Galina Szymanski.
Good evening, everybody. I live in Malibu Cove subdivision, and 2 months ago we talked about additional parking or driveway. Do you have any solution for that?
No, as we've spoken many times on the phone, staff is going to come up with some opportunities for the board to consider, but again, overnight parking is not allowed, and as we've explained, the idea of widening your driveway is not allowed due to storm sewer regulations or stormwater retention. So there really isn't a solution as far as widening the driveway goes. For overnight parking, there are some options that the board can consider, and staff is putting those together for the board to do just that. It will probably be quite some time, as there are a number of other things on our plate, and we've spoken about this several times.
So in the future, we have any solution for that in the future?
Well, no, ma'am. I mean, as you knew when you bought the home, that there were the parking requirements within the community, and there's garage space available, and just like in every PUD, you can calculate how many cars you're able to accommodate based on your driveway and your garage space.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Simon.
Good evening. I'm Ellen Simon, and I'm one of the commissioners for the Board of Health for Wheeling. And on behalf of the Wheeling Board of Health, I would like to invite you and the residents of Wheeling to attend the 6th Annual Wheeling Community Health Fair, which is going to be this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It will be held at the Wheeling Park District Recreation Center. We are going to have free health services provided, including glucose testing, bone density screenings, posture and balance checks, blood pressure screenings, lung capacity tests, spinal screenings, and chair massages. Other health services provided are total cholesterol screenings for $10, flu shots, T-TAP vaccinations, and pneumonia shots for the same fee that Walgreens would provide. There will be a variety of other health information services provided, including senior living, home health care, social services, dental health information, blood donor services, immunization services, and much more. The Wheeling Coat Closet will provide gently used coats for attendees, and there will be community services such as the fire prevention, library services, PACE bus transportation information, iCash, and more. We hope you'll join us Saturday and stop by the Board of Health for free gifts for the children and visit all the booths for important health education. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Covina?
Members of the trustees and Madam President and the police department. Our concerns are about the kids being out after hours, after curfew. I think the curfew should be moved from 11 o'clock to the little ones should go to school 9 o'clock at night. And the older kids should be in the house by 10 o'clock. Anything, those kids should be going to school, not staying out. Parents are supposed to supervise them. They don't. They let them run around the subdivisions and causing mischief, disorderly conduct, and waking up people when they're sleeping or anything they're doing with school. Another thing is the residents are parking too much around the corners, around the fire hydrants. Fire department and the police department are doing their best to ticket the cars and move the cars away from sidewalks where the fire department can't get through because they're blocking off the corners, especially the school buses and the kids. They get too close to the corners, and the school bus drivers, they got to slow down sometimes. You know, in the residential areas, 20 miles per hour, it's not 40 or 50 or 60 miles per hour on Cedar Run Drive. And everybody has to be living safe together. Another thing is for the police department, I want to congratulate Deputy Chief John Teethans and Chief Benson for catching these two guys trying to hold up this woman. There were two cable guys, and they responded to the call, and I was so pleased for them getting there, and they apprehended the two subjects that tried to rob her at gunpoint. So I'd like to give a good hand for the police department and the fire department. The Human Rights Commission, I hope everybody is thinking about getting it back. We need this for our community. That's all I have to say. And God bless everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff report.
Staff reports, Sherry, the Director of Human Services, please.
Good evening. On October 25th, the Cook County Board of Review will send representatives to the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center to provide assistance to residents and information to residents on how to go about reassessing their homes for property taxes. That event is sponsored by the Wheeling Senior Citizen Commission and the Cook County Board of Review. That event will be October 25th, which is a Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. at the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center. For more information, you can call the Senior Center at 847-459-2670. Residents are encouraged to bring their latest tax bill and any questions that they may have. There will be representatives from the Board of Review as well as staff from the county to answer questions and to assist you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items.
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Agiris.
Second.
Second by Trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris? President Abiscato?
Yes.
Item 13, new business. All listed items for discussion and possible action. Item 13A has two ordinance granting a variation and approval of 161-199 Carpenter Avenue. 13A1, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code to increase the allowed heights of a fence at 161-199 Carpenter Avenue, docket number 2012-15A.
Do you have any questions, or do I have a motion?
Motion with a question.
Yes, trustee Brady.
I'd like to know if the petitioner has done the striping that the Plan Commission has required, or requested, rather.
Yes, Rick Weingart from Inland Diecast on Carpenter Avenue. Yes, we have done striping on our west lot, which was the first condition of the Planning Commission.
And the landscaping restoration?
I'm doing that. I've got a planner coming in tomorrow to put 100 spireas in the front and some yews also. I'm working with our waste management company to bring our waste containers, either eliminate them or to move them closer to our building.
Okay. They'd have to be enclosed, too, in a corral, if I'm not mistaken. Your trash containers?
Yeah, I've got them, I was just told I had to have them closer to the building where they're out of sight on the street.
Okay.
I'll work with the village on that.
Motion stands.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by trustee Brady, second by trustee Agiris. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Here. Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
President Evans-Scotto?
Yes.
Item 13A2, ordinance granting special use and associated site plan and appearance approval to construct outdoor storage facilities, 161-199 Carpenter Avenue, docket number 2012-15B.
Do you have a motion?
So move.
Motion made by trustee Here, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
President Evans-Scotto?
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 13B, resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to sign an agreement for professional auditing services with Sikich LLP for the 5 years beginning with the fiscal year 2012 audit and ending with the fiscal year 2016 audit.
Do you have any questions, or do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Agiris, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
President Evans-Scotto?
Yes.
Item 13C, resolution authorizing the village president to execute change order number 1 to the contract with Schweigis Brothers Incorporated for ongoing work at the southwest corner of Dundee Road and Milwaukee Avenue.
Do I have any questions or motion?
So moved.
Question, trustee Lang.
Thank you. Just a heads up, are we expecting any more expenses? I know this was a planned expense for this project. Are there any more possible expenses that we can?
Mr. Korecki is here. Would you come? Would you state your name and
Steve Korecki with Shafkus Brothers. As far as, I don't foresee any additional expenses. There's nothing you guys have asked me for proposals on to add additional work. And we should be good.
And when are we looking for completion?
We're probably going to finish somewhere mid-November. The tower is scheduled to be delivered. It's supposed to ship the last week of October.
Right.
The benches are coming November 12th.
Thank you. I'll second.
motion made by trustee Brady, second by trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
No.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
No.
President Evans-Scotto?
Yes. We look forward to having that completed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Item 13D, resolution authorizing the village president to execute and grant agreement regarding congregate meals at the Wheeling Pavilion Senior Center.
So moved.
Motion made by trustee Agiris,
Second.
second by trustee Here. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
President Evans-Scotto?
Yes.
Item 13E, discussion regarding the Wolf Road rehabilitation.
Mr. Fondilis.
Thank you, Madam President. For the past several years, we have been talking about the Wolf Road project, and when we do, we're talking about the potential for reconstructing the road itself as well as widening Wolf Road. And it has always been talked about in association with a jurisdictional transfer from IDOT. That is not a road that is currently the responsibility of the Village of Wheeling. And as we've seen, the county and the state are moving towards relinquishing ownership of some of these larger thoroughfares in every town because they no longer have the resources to maintain the roads. So what they're doing is doing a jurisdictional transfer, which then transfers ownership of the road and all the responsibilities of owning a road to the local jurisdiction. In exchange, there is normally a deal that is worked out. And we've talked about what that deal would look like, again, over the past 8 years. We have finally received a letter from IDOT that outlines what it is that they are offering, and they are now looking for an answer. Tonight, we're going to discuss some of the options. We're going to discuss exactly what is being proposed, and then some of the options that the Village of Wheeling has. We're not going to ask the board to make a decision this evening. This is just a presentation so that the board has information about what it is in detail that we're talking about, what some of the considerations are, what the impacts would be, and so forth. Some of that, as you will hear, are some substantial financial considerations. And the timing of this is perfect as we approach the 2013 budget season, that depending upon some of the choices that are available to us, there will be an impact to local businesses and residents depending on how far we want to take the reconstruction of Wolf Road. So that's why tonight this is merely a presentation. Of course, we can answer questions about the project and about some of the options, but we're not going to ask you for an opinion this evening. We will come back to you again in December to talk more about, okay, what direction are we going to move in. Further, we're going to provide you with some literature that you can look at so that you, again, can take it home, digest this information, and then we can talk about it both during the budget hearings if necessary and, again, formally at a village meeting in December. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Janik. And as we go through here, this is a very confusing topic, only because there are a number of options. And within each of the major, option 1 and option 2, there's sub-considerations with each one. So Mark and Andrew have put together, I think, a very comprehensive and hopefully easy to follow presentation that walks us through the big questions as well as some of the side questions, again, all of which have a financial impact to our bottom line and our decision. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Janik.
Excuse me, if I may. Do you say you have some paperwork for us now?
We'll pass it out after.
You'll pass it out now, or?
After. I don't have it here. We'll pass it out before you leave this evening. But it's not, it's backup material to the presentation.
Okay. Good evening. Generally speaking, what we're talking about, I think that the board, we've talked about this, or it's been in discussions for a few years. Generally speaking, what we're talking about is a jurisdictional transfer of a roadway that extends that's on Wolf Road, that extends from Milwaukee Avenue south to Manchester. Years ago, not that many years ago, but a few years ago, the village has already taken jurisdictional transfer of part of Wolf Road south of Manchester, extending to Hintz Road. Actually, a little bit south of Hintz Road. So there already is a precedent of jurisdictional transfer of part of Wolf Road. This would be the northern, approximately 8,000 linear feet of roadway. What IDOT has proposed, now for years, IDOT has discussed jurisdictional transfer with the village without reconstruction, just grind and overlay or something of that nature. Now IDOT has come to us and said we're willing to reconstruct the road as well as do some other improvements to the roadway if the jurisdictional transfer is acceptable to the village. So what I'm going to do is go through this PowerPoint, and it's going to show some of the costs involved, and it's also going to show if we do one thing or if we do another. The first slide just shows the intersection of, actually this is the Strong and Wolf Road. Generally speaking, the entire road would be a three-lane cross-section up and down Wolf. Of course, this would require widening of the pavement. The three options there are three options for each scenario. Now, there's two scenarios. One scenario is accepting the jurisdictional transfer, and one scenario is not accepting the jurisdictional transfer. If we don't accept the jurisdictional transfer, obviously that's less money. It's going to cost the village less money, depending on what we do. If we accept the jurisdictional transfer, we're taking responsibility for a roadway that at some point in the future will have to be reconstructed, repaved, and we'll be taking over snow plowing and all that sort of thing. This first slide shows the north part of Wolf Road. As you can see, that's Milwaukee and Wolf and Milwaukee at the very northern end. The green area down to the south there is Chamber Park. So the first part would be the non-jurisdictional transfer. This would be leaving the road as it is, maintaining the existing configuration, maintaining the existing conditions. We would hope that at some point IDOT would repave the road, but we can't guarantee when that would be or what they would do. Most likely at some point in the near future, if we did not take the road over, they would probably grind and overlay the road, leave it 2 lanes, leave the ditches as they are, but at some point it's going to have to be repaved. That doesn't mean they're going to reconstruct it, but they probably will repave it. But that would be under their jurisdiction and schedule. Currently, the village Public Works spends approximately $5,000 a year maintaining this section of Wolf Road. Currently, we don't snow plow it, we don't theoretically clean it, but we do maintenance. We do fill potholes once in a while. We do clean out culverts alongside the road where there are ditches and they get clogged up, and we can't wait for IDOT to come and do any repairs. This is the southern section of Wolf Road. Same idea. Now, the green area shown, that's Heritage Park. They will be doing some improvements, not to the roadway itself, but sidewalks. Currently, there's sidewalks on part of Wolf Road, not the entire area. Okay, this would be the non-jurisdictional transfer with some expenditure by the village. There's always been an idea if Wolf Road is improved, maybe the village would provide lighting and some other improvements. This option B for non-jurisdictional transfer would leave the road as it is, but the village would expend some money to improve the area around the road. This shows streetlights, and it also shows a 8-foot walk located on the west side of Wolf Road on the northern part of Wolf, and then the next slide will show you the 8-foot walk on the east side. Now that's for, generally speaking, this is for school children going to and from homes. The estimated cost of this improvement would be $1.65 million approximately. But this would be the streetlights and the sidewalk if we did not do the jurisdictional transfer and if the village wanted to improve Wolf Road in terms of pedestrians and access, as well as the lighting. With these improvements, we would assume more maintenance of the road, maintain the lights, for instance, and the sidewalk. The third option for not taking the jurisdictional transfer of the road would be the lighting, the sidewalk, as well as burying power lines on Wolf. I know this has been a topic that's been discussed, not just on Wolf Road, but also on Dundee Road and other roads. The power lines were buried on Milwaukee Avenue when that was improved. This would be the estimated cost if we were to assume the cost of burying power lines. There are scenarios where burying the power lines, which is approximately $4.3 to $4.5 million, that cost, sometimes Commonwealth Edison does transfer burial costs to users of the electricity themselves. So it wouldn't be the village cost, but it will be transferred to residents and to businesses. This just shows you, gives you an idea what it would cost the village if we did it. Any questions on the non-jurisdictional transfer? No? Okay. The next scenario would be that's a picture of the power line burial. This is a couple photographs of Wolf Road as they exist today. The ditches on the side and the roadway itself, 2 lanes. That's in front of Heritage Park on South Wolf Road. That's the intersection of Dundee and Wolf. And this is North Wolf Road. So, jurisdictional transfer. This is if we would accept what IDOT is proposing. It lists here what IDOT's willing to do right now. To complete reconstruction of the road, which means they would take up all the pavement and replace gravel underneath the pavement. There'd be 3 lanes, 2 13-foot lanes for cars and 1 11-foot center turn lane, curb and gutter along the entire stretch, the 8,000 linear feet. Storm sewer would be installed where the ditches are. Upgrade the signal at Dundee for emergency vehicles. Sidewalks will be installed on both sides of the roadway. It would not be 8-foot, but it would be a 5-foot sidewalk. There are some gaps of sidewalks on Wolf, and new sidewalks would be put in. The signalization at Strong, which currently is termed temporary, would be made permanent. Right now, the signalization at Strong is held up by wires. It would be a more permanent installation of signals. The cost to the village for this would be approximately $320,000. We'd be taking advantage of an 80-20 split on some of the costs with IDOT. We estimate that it'd be approximately $42,000 a year to maintain the roadway with these improvements. Snow plowing, cleaning the streets, that sort of thing. Now this does not include, as you'll see, I will have the lighting and the 8-foot sidewalk in the next option, but this does not include lighting, does not include burial. This is what IDOT's proposing to us right now. This just shows you the sidewalks. The orange sidewalks, 5-foot wide sidewalks, and that would be the signal at Strong. And this is the southern part of Wolf Road. Same sort of idea where there are gaps. Sidewalks would be installed, and the signal at Dundee would be upgraded. The next option, if we assumed jurisdictional transfer of the road, would be similar to the option B for the non-jurisdictional transfer. The roadway would be improved as per IDOT's the proposal, and lights and an 8-foot walk would be installed on one side of the roadway. The estimated cost for this would be approximately $1.3 million. Option C, similar to the previous option C, It would be all of what IDOT's proposing. It would include the lights, it would include the 8-foot walk, the improvements to the signals, and it would include the power line burial and then the associated reconnections required as part of the burial. Again, this cost is extremely high. The burial is expensive. As I mentioned previously, there are programs where this cost is spread out to users of electricity instead of municipalities paying the entire cost. But I'm showing the entire cost here just in case that sort of idea is not acceptable. Got a couple more slides. This shows what Wolf Road would look like with a 3-lane cross-section. These are sidewalks on both sides, are 5-foot walks. You see the curb. Now, this isn't brand new, but we took a picture that would say 10 years after improvement, 10, 12 years. This just gives you an idea of, I'm sure you've seen 3-lane cross-sections before, but this just gives you a visual, what it would look like. This slide shows what the roadway could look like with a wider walk on the one side, new lighting, and then the power lines buried. Staff is not suggesting that these improvements, such as the 8-foot walk, burial, is required at all, but this has been discussed previously in the village, and we thought we would include this stuff just to give you guys an idea of what it would look like and what the cost would be. So here is a photograph of North Wolf Road on the left, and then what it could look like on the right-hand side. You're going to receive a memorandum that my department, as well as in association with Public Works, wrote. You're going to see about both these scenarios with pros and cons for each decision, and there's a lot to think about. Improving the roadway can improve property values. It can improve the look. It can improve a lot of things, but there is a cost associated with that. Assuming the cost of a roadway, there's especially in the future with reconstruction, there's a lot to think about. Got a couple more slides. This is North Wolf Road. We decided to give a little detail as to what this could look like with the 3-lane cross-section and the change of what would happen in this particular area. Changes would occur all along this roadway. At this particular location, the ditches would be gone. The white stripe on the east side of the roadway is the 5-foot walk that will be installed just inside the right-of-way. And as you can see, and I think as you know, businesses on the east side of Wolf Road in this location, the parking lot has been located in the right-of-way for numerous years. And it's a double-loaded parking lot, 90 degrees parking, but they are located somewhat in the right-of-way. This shows what would happen to the right-of-way, and it basically shows that one lane of parking, at least for 90-degree parking, there wouldn't be any room for it. This shows the same aerial with the wider walk on the west side. And we're going to turn to the side. This is going to show what would happen if we tried to put in the double-loaded parking with the configuration of the jurisdictional transfer. What this shows is that instead of 90-degree parking, we try to put in diagonal parking, double row, to try to avoid losing as much parking as possible. What this basically shows is that we would not be able to fit that in. Perhaps we could fit in one diagonal row and one parallel row, but we definitely will lose parking at this location as part of the widening. This shows a comparison of what the cost would be for both the non-jurisdictional transfer and the jurisdictional transfer. Generally speaking, with no jurisdictional transfer, our maintenance costs per year are going to stay the same as they are today or slightly above. You get the jurisdictional transfer, and the maintenance is going to go up. The appearance is going to improve, access is going to improve, safety, but there is a cost to doing that.
Are there any grants there that can be gotten for if we take over the road?
No question that we would try to reduce our costs as much as possible with grants. Currently, we're trying to get a grant for lights on Dundee Road, for instance. We'd be doing the same thing.
Thank you.
Question.
Now, this slide shows summary of estimated costs. This is of interest. This last line here, this EAUC average, what this is, it gives an idea if we accept the jurisdictional transfer. This gives you an idea of what the village theoretically would have to start thinking about putting away in consideration of reconstruction of the roadway in the future. Assuming this road would be made of concrete, I'm assuming that right now. We don't have the documents from IDOT saying what kind of road this would be. But assuming that this was made of concrete, it's an expensive reconstruction, and figure it's 35 years ahead that we might have to reconstruct this road. We would have to start putting away money, just like we do anyway for roadways, so surfing, for surf and that sort of thing. We have to start thinking about doing the same thing for this. This gives you an idea of what it would be per year to start thinking about putting away to reconstruct this road.
Trustee Lang had a question.
Thank you. Certainly great options. You give us a lot to think about. Initially, I'm thinking about the transfer, the
jurisdictional transfer.
Thank you. But I don't think this project will mean anything if we can't get that horse collar fixed by the airport. I mean, we got a new bridge coming over Palatine Road. That's all fixed up. And then you got that lane that narrows at the airport. So we're impeding traffic flow throughout this whole process. They're not even considering that at all, that end of?
I believe at some point they probably would. Right now, they're talking about this. I would assume at some point the entirety of Wolf Road, they would request jurisdictional transfer at some point. I'm just assuming that because, in general, the county and the state are looking to divest themselves of these costs and these responsibilities. Wheeling Road, for instance, that was a county road. We assumed responsibility for Wheeling Road. I'm not sure how many years ago. We assumed that responsibility. We assumed part of South Wolf Road. At some point, I would assume that the state would be reconstructing their roadways and going to the municipalities to request jurisdictional transfer of a lot of areas.
Is there any way of checking the numbers on what it would cost for the whole southern portion of Wolf Road as well? I mean, while we're talking about this?
You mean for jurisdictional transfer?
Yeah.
I suppose we could ask IDOT if they're...
just as an option, whether we decide to do it or not, it's another story, but it would be nice to have that option. It's just that if we're widening this all to 4 lanes with a turn lane.
3 lanes.
3 lanes. And it just seems like that's such a narrowing of traffic over there. I don't know if it deters people from using Wolf Road or not, but it's a thought. If we can get the numbers on that too.
Look into that.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes, Trustee Adjuris and
Thanks.
then Trustee Heim.
Just a couple of things. Mark, how quick are they looking to move? Because, this has been a process that's probably going on close to 10 years. And I know the village has spent money legally acquiring right-of-ways, engineering things that I know community, you guys and along with Public Works have been doing for years. Where are we with these guys? I mean, how quick are they looking to move?
I think that they're interested in getting this road or starting the reconstruction of this road in somewhat conjunction with Heritage Park, the improvements to Heritage Park. I think that they're interested in having this road start to be reconstructed after or very close to the time that Heritage Park starts to wind down. They don't want to, we wouldn't, and they wouldn't want to do anything with this roadway and then have all the trucks from Heritage Park, which there'll be plenty of.
Of course, right. That makes sense.
On the east side next year, next fall. So I think, I would suspect that they would want to start design drawings now and start thinking about doing reconstruction maybe a year and a half from now.
Okay, so if we had hypothetically chosen the C option, transfer and all that stuff, where are we with right-of-ways? Where are we with our engineering and all that stuff? Are we ready to go if these guys pull the trigger next year on this?
Well, all the engineering would be done by IDOT. Now, relative to
land acquisition? I mean, you talk about that parking lot over there.
That's all up to IDOT because it's their road, it's their right-of-way.
But isn't there some right-of-ways there that we need to pick up for buried power lines and
There
stuff?
are some easements we need to pick up for the burial of the power lines. That's something we need to do. But relative to right-of-way purchase, that would all be IDOT.
I'm just curious, when did this come out with IDOT? When did this letter come out?
The letter came in July, and it took some time to put this presentation together because all of the options that you see before you are from staff. None of it is from IDOT. IDOT, at this point, although we feel that we are in a position to negotiate with them, as Mark explained, they are offering us a number of things. This is not a done deal, so there is some room for negotiation, but all the options that were presented tonight were put together by staff, including the cost estimates. And don't forget, the answer could simply be no to all of it, and the village doesn't have to expend any monies. I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying that as an option. We could say no to the jurisdictional transfer and do none of the improvements over there. Again, I just don't want that to get lost in the explanation here. But to piggyback on what Mark was saying before, I think we should probably come up with an answer within the next 6 months to start talking with IDOT about the project. As Mark said, will probably be 2 years away from construction, but obviously you'll need a year to prepare. So if there were any more easements that were needed, once the board makes a decision to go down a certain path, we can begin and finish depending on what we're talking about. Either if we have any designs that we need to do, we can start them. If there are any easements that exist that are necessary, we can pick those up and move forward once the board has given direction on a plan.
Well, I would hope it wouldn't take 6 months to come up with a decision. I would think a decision should be made by December. Seriously. It shouldn't take that long. And I think the vision was from day one when we were all getting excited about IDOT redoing the whole road and finally getting a nice fairway through the village, because it's another road through the village that we need desperately. Let's be honest. You shut down Lake Cook, you shut down Dundee Road, we're screwed in this town. We really are. Palatine Road, we're doing it now with the bridge. I think the vision was always, that's why staff was working so hard and acquiring right-of-ways, doing some engineering studies, burying power lines, putting lighting in there, and making it a nice, clean, good street. That I always thought that's what we were doing. And I'm talking 10 years now we've been talking about this. And it was always, IDOT was always on the back burner because there was no funding. Now evidently they found funding because their partnerships with MWRD, the Army Corps, and everything else, the Heritage Park, which is great. We should piggyback on this thing and really come up with a decision ASAP.
We can certainly do that. Well, I'm just giving you a timeline.
No, I understand.
Certainly we can, you know, by December we can...
well, you got handouts that we can review, and I would hope for a workshop very soon on it. Because you guys need time. If there's things that you need to do, and it's going to take time, let's be honest, to negotiate with these guys. That could take 6 months.
Trustee Hunt.
Thank you. Wolf Road wants us to take over the jurisdiction of that particular road from that point to that point, and in other words, we're going to be responsible for the maintenance from that point on and the upkeep of that road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I think that the state of Illinois has been getting away with murder with Wolf Road for a long time. That is a residential street. Does it still have a truck designation on there? Is it a truck route also?
It does, in the south part of Wolf Road, that's correct.
Okay. I think we should be looking at it a little differently. We should be creating a truck route so it does not go down Wolf Road at all. And it should be a residential street. There are too many driveways on Wolf Road. There should be sidewalks on both sides. You can't have east and west, north on one, on the west side going north and the east side going to the south when you got a Park District property over there and you got a bunch of kids crossing over that park all the time. There are no sidewalks over there to go into those shopping centers. And those should be sidewalks on both sides, 100% down to Manchester. And it should be like any other residential street in the village of Wheeling. It should be 25 miles an hour. Then we got something to talk about. If they want to unload that property to us for forever and we be responsible for it, let's be responsible for something that we can use.
Do it right.
That's my take on the whole thing.
Thank you. Do we have anything else? Trustee Brady.
Thank you. How far south did you say that this plan is going to take?
To Manchester.
To Manchester? Well, it will, in other words, that's 4-lane right there with the center island. That'll just kind of blend right in there. We won't have a mishmash of another bottleneck or anything.
That's right. It'll go from 4 lanes, just south of Manchester, it's 4 lanes, and then it'll turn into 3 lanes. So
It'll still go to the 3 lanes then. You know, Dean mentioned about 10 years ago, you know, with burying power lines, that was the plan. And we actually went way farther back than that with the plan because it took us quite a while to get everything we needed to bury the power lines on Milwaukee Avenue and finish the street. And I'd hate to see, whether we kept it or not, I'd hate to see Wolf Road developed without doing everything that has to be done to make it a nice street. You know, if we didn't bury the power lines or put the street lights on McHenry, you know, we'll never get them there now because we have to tear up what was just done a few years ago to do it. The same thing would happen here. To have a 3-lane street with, well, if they put the sewers in and everything else, you know, they're going to have to tear everything up. It is torn up. I can't believe we do that, but, you know, timing is everything, and timing is not right now to spend this kind of money, unless we have some source other than our own funds to do this with. Where can we get some help from? I think we gotta go out and look for some help because, you know, burying the power lines is important, street lights is important, sidewalks, they're all important to make this you know, a nice pathway through town. I don't know. I'm still kind of standing on the middle of the road on this thing. I don't think it really matters too much whether we control it or the state controls it. It'd probably be better if we control it because at least it gets plowed in a reasonable amount of time. It never is.
They don't plan on being reasonable this year, I understand. So we're really going to have to work on that.
Yeah, so.
Do you have any other comments? Trustee Brady? I didn't want to interrupt.
Thanks, that was it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Trustee here?
First of all, I want to tell my colleague Ken not to stand in the middle of the road, but especially Wolf. No, I think all of us know that this project needs to be done, and I think you guys know what the direction should be, and I just hope it comes to fruition, and I think you're right. I think we're right at that part now with the Park District as well as with IDOT and everybody else. I think we can put this all together, and I agree with you. Go out, see if we can get some additional money to do it right the first time. Thank you.
That's all we have? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Janik, Mr. Fandela. Official communication? Do we have anything tonight?
Yeah, there's one.
Hello.
Avon's phone.
Sorry.
No official communication. Approval of the bills of September 27th to October 10th.
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Agiris.
Second.
Second by Trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yep.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Agiris?
Yes.
President Avascado?
Yes. Board will go into executive session to discuss the purchase of lease of property by the village, the setting of a price for the sale or lease of property owned by the village, pending, probable, and/or imminent litigation, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or employees of the village, Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by trustee here, second by trustee Agiris. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
President Erbiscato?
Yes, the board will go into executive session at 7:25. Move fast.